Hi, everyone, and welcome to our project information meeting for the Belcher Road and Gulf to Bay Boulevard Intersection Improvement Study. I'm Tony Fabrizio with Pinellas County Marketing and Communications, and I'll be your moderator. In a moment, I'll introduce you to Public Works Director Kelly Hammer-Levy to make some opening comments. But first, let me give you a quick overview of how the meeting will go. After you hear from Kelly, we'll share a recorded presentation that will go into detail about why we were here tonight. The presentation runs for about 12 minutes, and when it's finished, we'll introduce our project experts. At that point, these panelists will be available to answer your questions. I'll explain how that's going to work now, and then we'll go over it again when we get to the Q&A. If you are new to Zoom and you want to ask a question, place your cursor at the bottom of the screen. That will bring up a toolbar. If you're on a mobile device, the toolbar may be at the top of your screen. Clicking on the Q&A icon there opens a screen where you can type in your questions. Feel free to send in questions at any time. Just know that they will be answered when we get to that portion of the program. Note that we'll be taking questions typed into the Q&A first so that we can maximize our meeting time. We'll recognize any telephone call-ins and virtual raised hands after that portion of the program, as time allows. For any of your questions that we don't get to, we'll answer those in an FAQ section on the project webpage that we'll post in a few days. That's pinellascounty.org/Belcher60. We'll show that web address on a slide later. This meeting is being recorded, including the presentation, and will be made available for viewing within the next couple of days on the same project website. From the main page of that website, click on the Community Outreach tab in the menu on the left, and that'll take you to a link for the video. Please share that link with anyone you know who may be interested in the study and couldn't be with us tonight. You've probably noticed that we are also referring to Gulf to Bay Boulevard as State Road 60, or SR60. State Road 60 runs across the entire state. If you live here, you probably know that the portion of the road between Highland Avenue and Courtney Campbell Causeway in Clearwater is known as Gulf to Bay Boulevard. So when you hear us say Gulf to Bay Boulevard or State Road 60, we're talking about the same road. At this time, please welcome Pinellas County Public Works Director Kelly Hammer-Levy for opening comments.
Well, hello, and thank you for joining us. As many of you know, the intersection of Belcher Road and Gulf to Bay Boulevard has been a trouble spot for a long time. The intersection has both traffic flow and safety concerns, and they've been getting worse. So we're here tonight to discuss our options for making improvements. Because Belcher is a county road, the county hired a consultant, Ayers and Associates, to conduct what's called a Project Development and Environmental, or PD&E study. We are also working with the Florida Department of Transportation, as Gulf to Bay is a state road, again, as Tony said, State Road 60, and with the city of Clearwater, as the intersection resides within the city limits. A PD&E study is conducted to meet the requirements of the National Environmental Policy Act. For this intersection, we are identifying and analyzing all of our options. That includes a no-build alternative, in which the intersection would be kept in its current state with routine maintenance. That does remain under consideration. The study also identifies all viable alternatives and examines their social, economic, and environmental impacts. We've reached a point in the study where our consultant has identified 4 alternatives for us to bring to you for feedback. Tonight's meeting is informational, and you'll have an opportunity to ask questions. Afterwards, we are asking you to complete an OpenGov survey on the project webpage. This can be done at any point in time over the next 30 days. The survey is available in English and Spanish, and we will ask how often you use this intersection, how you use the intersection, and which of the 4 alternatives presented tonight you prefer. These are the only alternatives under consideration at this time. After we receive and analyze your input, we'll select one alternative and present our recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners at a public hearing. The public hearing will be available for the public as well. You can attend both in person or virtually. Lastly, let me ask you to please keep an open mind. This is not an intersection we can fix easily with a traditional solution. So with encouragement of the Florida Department of Transportation, we've been thinking outside the box and looking at innovative approaches. So with that, I'll turn it back to Tony.
We are now going to play a presentation created by Ayers and Associates that will describe the 4 alternatives. The presentation includes a pretty cool video that we think you'll find interesting.
This presentation is part of a public meeting being held on a virtual platform for the Gulf to Bay Boulevard and Belcher Road intersection improvements, project development, and environment study. A project development and environment, or PD&E study, determines the location and conceptual design of feasible build alternatives for roadway improvements and their social, economic, and environmental effects. A no-build alternative, which considers leaving the roadways in their present state with routine maintenance, remains a viable alternative throughout the study. The project includes the signalized intersection of Gulf to Bay Boulevard and Belcher Road in the city of Clearwater. The intersection is located along Gulf to Bay Boulevard, east of the beaches in downtown Clearwater, and west of the bay. The signalized intersection of Belcher Road with the Walmart and Publix driveways is located approximately 600 feet to the south. This intersection is also included in the study due to its proximity to the Gulf to Bay Boulevard and Belcher Road intersection. The purpose and need of the study is to identify intersection improvements to address the existing operational and safety issues. The existing intersection of Gulf to Bay Boulevard and Belcher Road is experiencing significant queuing and delay. These operational issues will only worsen as the traffic volumes continue to increase. The intersection is also experiencing many crashes. In 2019 and 2020, 158 crashes were reported that resulted in 19 injuries. Rear-end collisions were the most frequent accident type, followed by angle and left turn collisions. Several intersection study alternatives were identified for evaluation. They include a no-build alternative, an expanded traffic signal alternative, a single-point urban interchange alternative, and a median U-turn alternative. The no-build alternative maintains the existing intersection with no improvements. Operations and safety will continue to worsen with this alternative. The comparison cost for this alternative is $0. The traditional approach when long delays and backups occur at an intersection is to add traffic lanes. The expanded traffic signal alternative adds dual left turn lanes and single right turn lanes at each leg of the intersection. This alternative was analyzed and is projected to result in a level of service F in the design horizon year of 2037, and will likely result in decreased safety due to the increase in conflict points. It also requires the removal of the Walmart Publix traffic signal on Belcher Road, as well as closure of median openings on Gulf to Bay Boulevard. The comparison cost for this alternative is between $15 and $18 million. The single-point urban interchange alternative would construct a bridge taking Gulf to Bay Boulevard over Belcher Road. Like the US 19 and Gulf to Bay Boulevard intersection, but with Gulf to Bay Boulevard being elevated. This alternative would improve operations by providing uninterrupted flow for traffic on Gulf to Bay Boulevard, but would have substantial right-of-way and access impacts to the adjacent properties. The comparison cost for this alternative is more than $80 million. Several innovative intersection alternatives were also investigated. These included a quadrant roadway, a displaced left turn, a restricted crossing U-turn, and a median U-turn. The median U-turn was determined to be the most promising alternative and was carried forward into the study. The following video explains how a median U-turn would operate at the Gulf to Bay Boulevard and Belcher Road intersection.
In their commitment to improve safety and mobility for all road users, Pinellas County, the City of Clearwater, and the Florida Department of Transportation are considering the innovative median U-turn at the Gulf to Bay Boulevard and Belcher Road intersection. The Gulf to Bay Boulevard and Belcher Road intersection is experiencing increasing user delay and crashes due to growing traffic volumes. To provide acceptable operations with traditional traffic signal improvements, traffic models indicate that additional through lanes would be required along Gulf to Bay Boulevard, which is not practical in this densely developed corridor. The innovative median U-turn alternative would provide improved traffic operations by removing left-turning vehicles from the intersection without adding through lanes. Let's take a look at how a median U-turn will help to address the increasing traffic congestion at the Gulf to Bay Boulevard and Belcher Road intersection. The median U-turn will comprise one main signalized intersection that will look similar to what is there today, except with the left turn lanes removed, and two new signalized median U-turn intersections along Gulf to Bay Boulevard. Left-turning vehicles will be accommodated through one of the two median U-turn intersections. The median U-turn intersections are designed to accommodate all roadway users, including larger vehicles such as school buses, emergency vehicles, and trucks. Median U-turns are easier to navigate for pedestrians and cyclists because of shorter crossing distances in larger refuge islands. The main benefits of the median U-turn are increased efficiency. Median U-turns eliminate left turn movements from the main intersection. This means that there are fewer interruptions and more vehicles can move through the same space more efficiently. Shorter wait times. Median U-turns typically operate with fewer traffic signal phases, which means motorists spend less time stopping. Improved safety. Median U-turns reduce the number of points where vehicles cross paths, which decreases the potential for crashes. Let's watch how a driver would navigate the median U-turn at the Gulf to Bay Boulevard and Belcher Road intersection. On Gulf to Bay Boulevard, all motorists who wish to continue straight or turn right will proceed as they would through a conventional intersection. To turn left onto Belcher Road, motorists will go straight through the main intersection, make a U-turn at the adjacent median opening, and then turn right onto Belcher Road. Let's follow along as the red car demonstrates how a vehicle heading east on Gulf to Bay Boulevard would make a left turn onto Belcher Road. As the red car approaches the main intersection, they will first continue straight through the main intersection in the left lane, then move into the median turn lane. Make a U-turn at the signalized median opening, move into the right turn lane, and finally then make a right turn onto Belcher Road. On Belcher Road, all motorists who wish to continue straight or turn right will proceed as they would through a conventional intersection. To turn left onto Gulf to Bay Boulevard, motorists will turn right, go to the adjacent median opening, and make a U-turn. Let's follow along as the blue car demonstrates how a vehicle heading north on Belcher Road would make a left onto Gulf to Bay Boulevard. As the blue car approaches the main intersection, they will first move into the right lane, make a right turn onto Gulf to Bay Boulevard, then move into the median turn lane. Make a U-turn at the signalized median opening, and drive straight through the main intersection and onto their desired destination.
To learn more about the proposed median U-turn at the Gulf to Bay Boulevard and Belcher Road intersection, please visit the Pinellas County website at www.pinellascounty.org/Belcher60.
The median U-turn alternative improves safety and traffic operations, provides improved pedestrian accommodations, maintains the existing Walmart and Publix traffic signal on Belcher Road, and has reduced right-of-way impacts. The comparison cost for this alternative is $13.5 million. This evaluation matrix shows a comparison of the right-of-way impacts, community effects, contaminated site impacts, safety improvements, traffic operations, and cost for the alternative studied. Next steps. County staff will share the public feedback from this public meeting with the Board of County Commissioners. The PD&E study will be finalized. Design of the project will begin in fiscal year 2022 and 23. Real estate acquisition will take place in fiscal year 2023 and 24, with construction taking place in fiscal year 2025 and 26. Please visit the county's website at www.pinellascounty.org/Belcher60 for additional information, including the median U-turn video contained within this presentation, as well as exhibits of the alternatives investigated. The website also provides you the opportunity to provide comments on the study. Thank you for attending this presentation on the Gulf to Bay Boulevard and Belcher Road intersection improvements, project development, and environment study.
So now we're going to introduce our panel of experts, and then we'll move into the Q&A portion of the meeting. And first, from Ayers & Associates, we have Consultant Project Manager Hisham Suna.
Well, welcome. Thank you for introducing me. I'm Hisham Suna, Consultant Project Manager for this project with Ayers. And I look forward to receiving your feedback and input and hopefully answer some of your questions tonight.
Thank you. And also from Ayers & Associates, we have Transportation Services Manager Kevin Kulo. Kevin, please say hello and tell us about your role in the study.
Yeah, hi there, Kevin Kulo with Ayers. I'm the lead designer on the project, so I was the one who developed the different alternatives, and as well as got involved with the operational analysis and comparison of the alternatives. So I'm here and looking forward to help answering any of the questions that you have. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. And Kevin, I did want to ask you one clarifying question from the presentation. When discussing the expanded traffic signal alternative, you said this approach would result in a level of service F in the design horizon year 2037. For those who may not be familiar with that terminology, could you explain that a little bit further?
Sure. Yeah. The level of service is used to describe the quality of how a transportation facility operates. So similar to school, a level of service or a grade of A is better than an E or a D or something like that. So what a level service A is considered as the best quality operations, and really so off-peak hours where you're free flow going through the intersection with very little delay. While a level of service F, as was shown with the traffic signal alternative, is a breakdown of flow with significant delay. You're probably going to be sitting through more than one traffic signal sequence or phase. So you'd be sitting there for quite a long time. So that's just a general overview of level of service.
Okay, and the significance of design horizon year 2037?
So what we do, and we had started this study back in 2017 or even before that, when we look forward 20 years from when we look to initially do some operational analysis. So that 2037 was 20 years from when that study initially had taken place. So that's where we were comparing all of our alternatives was to that 2037.
Very good, thank you. From Pinellas County Public Works, our project manager is Joan Rice. Hi, Joan.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming, and we look forward to answering your questions.
Great. And also from Pinellas County Public Works, we have Interim Transportation Division Director, Tom Washburn. Hi, Tom.
Good evening, Tony, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in again tonight, and we look forward to answering your questions.
Great. At this time, we're going to move into the question and answer portion of the program. To make sure that your questions are directed to the right person, the Q&A will be moderated by Pinellas County Transportation Systems Coordinator, Alexis Ferguson. Alexis, at this time, I'll introduce you and turn it over to you.
Thank you, Tony. Hello, everyone. As Tony mentioned earlier, we are going to first take questions typed into the Q&A. Just click on the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen and type in your question. After that, as time permits, we'll take verbal questions and comments. When we get to that part of the program, we'll take questions or comments first from anyone who has called in by phone. If you called in by phone and want to speak, please press *9 to be placed in the queue. After that, we'll take questions or comments from those of you attending on Zoom. You can click on the raise hand button to be placed in that queue. So here's our first question. What interventions are you willing to put in place in the next 3 months? Joan, could you answer this question for us?
Yes, thank you very much. Good evening. And any interventions that could be done, we are excited to take a look at. Some of them may take longer than 3 months because we do have to work with other municipalities, the city of Clearwater, as well as DOT to make them happen. So we are interested in what you have to do. It will be given to another team to work on because this particular team is only working on this PD&E project. So a different team will take over for the interventions. So please share your comments on the comment survey under the project website. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. Our next question. Could you explain level of service, which we just spoke about a little bit, and also how each alternative would operate? Hisham, could you please answer this question for us?
Sure, and I'll defer obviously to Kevin on the different alternatives and how they operate, but a level of service F, for example, is not acceptable. And a level of service A, which you see for the overpass option, is going to allow traffic to go through faster. Now, it's not always desirable to have that grade A because we also have to account for pedestrians. And the idea is not just to move traffic through the intersection as fast as we can because we have to account for pedestrian safety. So it's not always the higher level that is the most desirable, but the target level of service. And I think Kevin can talk about each of the different alternatives, which ones result in level service D, for example, versus.
Yeah, and as part of the presentation, we did have a comparison chart in there that did show the different levels of service. So I think we can start with the no build alternative, which is basically existing conditions. And if you think about that, as traffic volumes continue to increase and worsen out there, the operations will continue to get worse. So that one will lead into a level service F, which is, again, that kind of failing operations, or it will take you a long time to get through there. We did just previously talk about the expanded traffic signal. So even adding additional left turn lanes and right turn lanes into the future, when we do look out to that 2037, we're showing that there's additional failing operations. And part of that was due to additional traffic that would need to go through the intersection due to the Walmart and Publix intersection to the south on Belcher Road. Due to the queuing and delay, that intersection would have to be closed off, which means then those vehicles that, for instance, wanted to come out of Publix and go to the south on Belcher would have to go up into the intersection and do a U-turn and then head back to the south. So really, by closing off that intersection to the south, we are adding more traffic to the main intersection. So that does lead us to that failing operation for that expanded traffic signal one. The single point urban interchange, or the overpass, or the bridge, whatever alternative you want to call that, great operations for Gulf to Bay, right? I mean, so you're going up and over and you have no delay. So that would be level service A. And then you would have ramps that would take you down to what I'll call surface level or existing level, where you would have, again, 2 intersections with Belcher Road, and those intersections are shown to operate well there. But with something like that comes a huge price tag, and that was that over $80 million to do that. In addition, if you think about it, there'll be significant retaining walls, and there'd be also many impacts to the adjacent businesses along the corridor. And it really would change the feel of the intersection from, that great easy access in and out of businesses to this larger structure through there. So That's what led us to, we were able to do an alternative. That's what made us look outside of the box, I'll say, and look for innovative intersection alternatives. And that's where the median U-turn came into play. And that provides acceptable operations. And it's a little counter because to most people, because we have one main signalized intersection, but then we're also adding two signalized intersections adjacent or east and west of that main intersection. But those signals all work together, and we say that they're coordinated, meaning that if you're going eastbound or westbound on Gulf to Bay, you would stop at the first signal, but by the time you hit the main intersection, that signal you would continue through there. So they work together and they operate well, and they reduce the delay because you're really getting rid of the additional phases that are in there that allow, the left turners, then the throughs, and then you switch, and then you go through the left turners in the other direction, and then the throughs. So we're pulling that out, and really we get what's called a two-phase signal, which allows northbound traffic to go, and then we have, or northbound, southbound, and then we have eastbound and westbound. So we really can improve the operations of the intersection by pulling the left turners out and making them use the U-turns.
Excellent. Thank you, Kevin and Hisham.
You bet.
Our next question, would the innovative U-turn option be eliminating the existing median left turn option from westbound Gulf to Bay directly into the east side entry of the Publix Plaza? Hisham, could you answer this question for us, please?
Yeah, I think Kevin kind of alluded to that with the median U-turn, you cannot make left turns. You're going to go to the right, just like the video showed you, and make the U-turns for your intersection. So hopefully the video showed enough that people can tell but there are no left turns there.
Yeah,
and make a U. Go ahead.
Yep, we would be restricting the access through there. There will be the displays of some more blown up exhibits that if we were, in person, you would be able to see some larger displays, but you should be able to go to the website and take a look at that. But yeah, we would be restricting some of the left turning median openings adjacent to these U-turns.
I have a follow-up question with that. Regard to the Publix driveway, the driveway there, if you go with the median U-turn, will there be any change to the Publix signal?
So you're talking about the south one on Belcher Road?
Correct.
Yes, with the median U-turn alternative, that signal will remain, and that would be coordinated with the main intersection again, so that those two intersections will work together. So yeah, that removes those extra vehicles from that intersection having to go up into the main intersection. So yes, we would be able to maintain full access as it is today at the Walmart and Publix intersection on Belcher Road.
Thank you.
That was one big positive for this alternative, because expanding the intersection would have closed that opening signal.
Thank you. Our next question. When there is more traffic on Gulf to Bay and a car turns right onto it, is there ample distance to allow the car to work its way to the left turn lane? Hisham, could you answer this question for us, please?
Sure. That's one of the, we do check the queue lengths, the turn lengths, and that's also what sets that loop, which is some places called the Michigan loop, that locates it so you have enough room and time to move over the traffic to make your U-turn. There should be plenty of time for that.
Yeah. So, and I can elaborate a little bit on that. So when there's really heavy traffic going eastbound and westbound on Gulf to Bay, and you're stopped on Belcher Road and you want to make a right turn, you really won't have gaps in that traffic, which you won't have today trying to make a right turn. But what's going to happen is that signal is going to cycle quicker, so that when the north-south movement goes and the through movement, that's when the right turns go. So you would be able to have that whole phase or that sequence to make your right turns to head down to the U-turn, and you wouldn't have to deal with east and west traffic in order to work your way over to that the U-turn location. Now, when you think about it during the off-peak hours and there's not as much traffic, then you would be able to make a a right turn on red and there'd be less traffic and you'd be able to work your way over it. But during the peak times, it would be challenging to make a right turn just like it is today. And then you would make your right turn when the northbound, southbound green light is there.
Thank you. And our next question, how, and I hope I have this correct, how would I turn eastbound from Belcher to SR 60? I think the original question was typed in of how do I turn southbound, that we had a correction of how would I turn eastbound.
So I can answer that, but that's so walk me through that one again. So I'm actually going to even put it on a piece of paper here. So which way are we going?
Okay, let's do two. How would I turn southbound from Belcher to S State Road 60, and how would I turn eastbound from Belcher to State Road 60?
Okay, so if you're going southbound on Belcher Road, okay, so you're coming from the north, approaching the intersection and going southbound. If you wanted to go to the beach, right, you would just come to the intersection and you would make a right turn and just continue to the west on Gulf to Bay Boulevard there. If you wanted to go to the east and go over to the Gulf, right, as you were coming down, or to Tampa, then you would come down and you would make the right turn. You would head to the west, and then you would do your U-turn and then head to the east on Gulf to Bay Boulevard. So that's for the southbound movement. And the other one was which direction were we going?
How would I turn eastbound from Belcher to State Road 60?
Okay, so very, very similar. And actually those very similar were covered in that video. So it'd be great to look at the video. So if you're going eastbound, so now you're coming from the beach and you're heading towards Tampa, let's say, and if you wanted to go south on Belcher Road, you would just make the right turn. If you wanted to go to the north on Belcher Road, or to make what would have been a left turn, you would continue through the intersection, do a U-turn, and then make a right turn to head to the north.
Thank you. Our next question. Where in the United States has this new type of protected U-turn been implemented? What was the measured decrease in accidents? What do you do if you do not remember to immediately merge to the proper lane to start the U-turn? Hisham, could you answer this question for us?
Yeah, I think probably I'll hand it over to Kevin.
I could, and I don't know if Tom, if you wanted to handle one of these too, you definitely could. So the U-turns have been used for decades, really, in many states throughout the U.S. They're really starting to gain favor throughout the U.S. as more and more locations, such as this particular intersection, where you just can't add more and more lanes. So the median U-turn, as Hisham had mentioned, is actually called the Michigan U-turn, and they've been doing it for many decades there at their locations, and they are showing increased operational benefits as well as safety benefits, because that's one of the things we didn't talk about is many of the significant crashes that occur at signalized intersections are vehicles making a left turn and kind of getting T-boned through that intersection. So we're removing those types of crashes from this intersection by just making people going straight through and making the right turn. Now, as far as specific numbers, we could get you some additional data on that. I don't have that handy with me right now. And each location is going to have different traffic volumes and different operational characteristics and safety benefits. But in general, the median U-turn is a proven safety and operational countermeasure for high traffic locations, such as what we have here at Belcher and Gulf to Bay.
Excellent, thank you. And I also just learned that they are building one in Virginia right now.
Yeah, many states throughout the U.S. are doing it.
Excellent. Okay, our next question. What if we had protected left turn lanes installed for all traffic lights at Belcher and Gulf to Bay? Tom, could you please answer this question for us?
Sure, thanks, Alexis.
Thank you.
So protected left turn lanes, I believe we've got the 4 section, what's called the flashing yellow arrows on each of the approaches. Some of the approaches we have the operation. Now, the nice thing about these flashing yellow arrows is that it makes it provides us a lot of flexibility when we have pedestrian push buttons. So if a pedestrian pushes the button, it's all automatically programmed to go to a protected only operation. Now, this type of the flashing yellow arrow also allows us to program the left turn phasing by time of day. And so what we currently have eastbound and westbound on State Road 60 is a protected only operation, essentially from 5:30 in the morning until 10:30 at night. So that's already in place.
Thank you, Tom. And our next question, what would the level of service be for the other alternatives, especially the median U-turns?
I can pull up that comparison chart and get you the exact numbers here. Let me do that. What we are showing for the peak hour traffic signal operations for the median U-turn is a level service of C, is what we are looking at.
Thank you.
And
And
C
our
is
next-
good, by the way. C is good.
C at this particular location is actually very good, yes.
Thank you. And our next question. Will improvements on State Road 60 be funded by FDOT or by Pinellas County? And I believe Tom or Joan would be able to assist us with this question.
Sure, I'll take a shot and I'll let Joan jump in here. In the beginning, Kelly mentioned the process that we're following, the PD&E process and the NEPA process. We're doing that so that it allows us to pursue federal funding and FDOT grants based on the alternative that we select. Certainly, this is, as Kelly also mentioned, this is a cooperative project between FDOT, City of Clearwater, and Pinellas County. So once we settle on an alternative, we'll be exploring all funding opportunities that are available. And Joan, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
That sounds great. Yes, the DOT has been involved with the project, just acknowledging that we're doing it. As part of this PD&E study, we're trying to figure out which alternative would be a preferred alternative so that we can go to the DOT to ask them what we can do.
Thank you. Our next question. Has the impact that the U.S. Post Office on Belcher been considered for this project? And
I can speak to that. Yes. All the alternatives came up with a conceptual design, and we're investigating the impacts to the adjacent properties. Specifically to the post office, again, we would have to get into the actual displays and take a look at that. Each alternative would impact that a little bit differently. If we're specifically talking about the median U-turn, our project limits didn't quite make it up that far, and it's if there were any impacts to the post office, they were quite minor.
Let me add to that. I think also the question is regarding the post office impact on what's happening on the intersection, because the entry driveway into the post office and out, people just try to avoid going the way they're supposed to, and that can contribute to delays and accidents. But the median U-turn probably is the least affected by that.
thank you. And our next question. Has this type of new intersection been implemented in other areas that have large amounts of tourism or seasonal residents? And Tom, could you assist us with this question?
Sure, I'll take a shot, and then if Kevin's got some additional locations. I would say that this whole concept of the innovative intersection analysis is something that FDOT has embraced throughout Florida. There are several different types of these innovative type of intersection controls. I know they've got some of them in Sarasota, which is, again, another high tourist area. Maybe not the median U-turns, but certainly some offset U-turns and some other type of intersection treatments. What I don't think showed up in the graphics is the signing plan that goes along with this. The intention is to make it very clear to the motorist what the proper lane is to be in and what the proper movements are. So there's a whole signing component that goes along with this, just like you would see at a typical interchange that you might not be used to seeing on a regular basis. So, Kevin, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I can just speak from personal experiencing, having been down to Gulf Shores, Alabama, and that area, high tourist. They have similar median U-turn. There's kind of everyone's a little bit different, but the idea of restricting left turns and making people do U-turns has been implemented there. And as a tourist driving through, does it take a little bit to get used to? Sure. I mean, it's not what you're used to, but very easy to understand and pick up after you've driven through it. So they are implemented in higher tourist locations.
Thank you. Okay. Our next question. The overpass option is 80 million, but how much of that will be paid out of FDOT budget rather than the county? Tom or Joan, could you assist us with this question?
Sure. Like we mentioned before, I think the goal would be to whatever funding amount we would be able to obtain from DOT or other grant opportunities is what we'd be seeking. Again, that's a very expensive option. So there's going to have to be considerable thought that goes into that if that is the selected alternative and how we would fund it.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Our next question. Please describe the changes to the Belcher Publix Walmart the Belcher Publix/Walmart signalized intersection in each alternative. Hisham, okay. Could you please assist us?
I can actually handle that one. So on the no build alternative, it would really just stay the way it is. We wouldn't do anything. With the expanded traffic signal alternative, we would actually put in a raised median all the way through that intersection and have to take out the traffic signal lights that are there. And that those accesses along Belcher would become right in, right out only access points at that location. And that's due to the need to have left turn lane storage as well as right turn storage from the Belcher intersection. And the fact that queues or vehicles would start queuing back into that intersection. For the overpass one, we'll call it, or the single point urban interchange, that signalized intersection could remain as it is today. And then for the median U-turn alternative as well, it is proposed that intersection would remain as well with the signal there.
Thank you. Our next question. Are there going to be traffic lights to stop the traffic on Gulf to Bay to allow the cars to do the U-turn?
Yep, I can take that one too. Yeah, sorry. Yes, there will be. There will be signals at those U-turn locations. So any traffic that's going eastbound or westbound will have a red light that they will stop to allow the U-turns to go. And again, those signals that will be at those U-turn locations will be coordinated with the main signal to improve operations of that entire corridor.
Thank you. And what cities have implemented dual left and right turn lanes that you can point to as an example for us? Do we know any specific cities?
The option is dual lefts and then right turn lanes for each leg of the intersection. We have intersections even in Pinellas County that have that. So they're more frequent, and that's what you see most of the time.
Yeah, I would say they're all over, right? I mean, that's dual left turns. There's even locations with triple left turn lanes, you know, where the volumes get so high. But again, the more and more lanes you add, there's a decrease in safety, as well as even pedestrian safety as well, trying to cross all those lanes.
Excellent, thank you. Our next question. Once construction of the project begins, will it be taking place during day or nighttime? And at what hours will construction for the project be occurring? Joan?
I'll go ahead and answer that one. Thank you, Alexis. Because we don't know which one we're going to do yet, the design hasn't even begun to be worked on, and those decisions haven't even been made. We do have to work with the city of Clearwater and the DOT for any kind of lane closures and what time we can work on those roadways. So that's going to depend on other things than just which one we pick.
Excellent, thank you. And our next question would be, how familiar are county staff and staff working on the project with the intersection and traveling through the intersection from their experience? And I'll direct this to Joan or Tom.
For me personally, I'm very familiar with it. Our offices are located basically at State Road 60 and Drew Street, or I'm sorry, yeah, Drew Street in US 19. And we have offices downtown Clearwater. So personally, we're constantly going through that intersection, both directions, east-west and north-south.
Thank you.
Yes, and like Tom said, it is very near our offices. So I have also been through the intersection.
Thank you. All right, our next question. Can you compare the safety benefits associated with proposed design versus existing configuration and perhaps a BC ratio, benefits to cost ratio? And I'll direct that to Hisham or Kevin.
Sure, I think.
Yeah, Hisham, you can go.
Yeah,
I mean, that's part of the analysis where we would go in and take a look at the benefit cost, life cycle, all those components of an intersection control evaluation and looking at that. I don't have that information handy to give you a specific number, but we could definitely get back to you and provide that information.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, and we're going to take a couple more questions and we'll wrap it up for the evening. And once again, we'll share how you can share your comments online, and all of the questions will be answered and addressed and available. The answers will be available online. So we'll have one more question for this evening until we'll end it. Okay. And our question is, how would the median U-turn intersection be safer for pedestrians? And Hisham or Kevin, could you please assist us with this question?
Sure, I can go. So when the configuration that we'll have, and again, you can go and look at the displays that'll be on the website. So for instance, if we're going eastbound or westbound, there would be 3 lanes going east and west, and then we'd have a right turn lane. So basically we would have 4 lanes underneath that scenario. When we go into the expanded traffic signal, we would have 2 left turn lanes, 3 through lanes, and then a right turn lane. So we would have 6 lanes. So really what we're looking at with the median U-turn is a reduction in the total number of lanes, which therefore reduces the crossing distance, which is really the amount of time that a pedestrian is in the crosswalk and has exposure to potentially, getting hit by a vehicle. So we're reducing that by reducing the number of lanes. And then we're also taking up that space that was in the median that was being used for left turns and providing more of a pedestrian refuge or a place for somebody to seek shelter in the middle there. So reducing the crossing distance and providing a wider median would show some safety improvements for pedestrians.
Excellent, thank you.
And I would also highlight that with the median U-turn, we'll be using typically a shorter cycle length, which I don't know if there are many times I've been at this intersection too, where you push the button and you're waiting to cross and it seems like forever, right? It's minutes to cross. Well, the median U-turn goes through, when I say a cycle, it's one that goes from red to green and back to red again. That is much shorter, and therefore the walk indicators will occur more frequently under a median U-turn alternative than an expanded traffic signal alternative.
Thank you. And at this time, I'd like to thank all of our panel for sharing their knowledge with us tonight, and I will throw it back to Tony. Thank you.
Thanks, Alexis. For anyone who joined us late, we've been discussing the Belcher Road, State Road 60, Gulf to Bay Boulevard intersection improvement study. You'll be able to watch the full meeting, including the presentation and the video animation on the project website within a day or two. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll try to break those out to where if you want to just watch the presentation, you'll be able to do that as well. And if you have questions about the median U-turn, that video really, if you watch that video closely, it explains quite a bit. Give me just a second and I'll throw something up on the screen here. So the next and very important step in this process is to capture your feedback through our opengov.com survey. When you go to the project webpage, shown there down on the screen, www.pinellescounty.org, Belcher/Belcher60, you'll select the Belcher State Road 60 survey, and that'll take you to the questions. It's a simple survey that should only take a few minutes, and your feedback is an important part of this process. As we mentioned earlier, the survey is available in both English and Spanish. And for anybody, and again, a lot of great questions tonight. For anybody who typed in comments rather than questions in the Q&A, please submit those comments in the survey. That way they'll be part of our formal report. If your question wasn't answered, we'll post answers in the FAQ section we referred to earlier on the project webpage as soon as possible. And if you think of any new questions, you can email Joan Rice at the email address shown on the screen. That's belcher60@pinellescounty.org. Thanks very much for being with us tonight, and we hope that you'll complete the survey. Thank you. Good night.